больше боли нет в моем сердце. Улетаю, рывками глотаю свободу.
And I'm going to start by going into the layers panel and just kind of inspecting what's going on. So um, I like to go in here in all these drop down menus to see if there's any paths or lines embed, like just deep in there. A lot of the customer files will have a lot of these little drop down menus. Just open all of them to see what's going on, and just as you get to do these more and more, you'll kind of be able to use your best judgment and be able to know what kind of work or how much work it's going to take for you to just prep this file. So I have a pretty good idea right now what I need to do. So after I do that, I'm just going to leave the layers there. I'm going to go to my artboard tool and just see what's going on. And so we have a 3x3 artboard, and the increments are inches, which is good news. If they were not in inches, then all I would need to do is just go in Illustrator, Preferences and Units, and then change up what you need. So we're good right here. So we're just gonna leave that alone. And if I could recall, the customer wanted this sticker to be 2x2. So I was just going to my transform tool, and I already have it set 2x2, which is perfect. And all I need to do now is just change my artboard so that it's 2 inches plus the bleed, which is 1/8. So my artboard is going to include the size of the sticker plus the bleed. So my artboard is going to be 2.125 by 2.125. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assign my layers. So this will be my cut layer. That's where I'm going to add the cut path. And this will just be my art. And I'm just going to recommend that you do that right out of the gate, as soon as you finish inspecting the file. Is just get those layers in there, so you don't forget. All right, so what I noticed when I was inspecting the file was that there's a lot of effects here as far as appearances go. So I'm just gonna select these. I know that this path here doesn't have an appearance, but it goes with the branches that do have appearances. So I'm just gonna select all of this because these are a unit. Yeah. So I'm gonna group them by doing Command G. And I'm just gonna name them tree. And that's just for my own preference. And I might have missed one, so I'm gonna put that in there. And then this random path that we don't know what it is, so I'm just gonna delete it because we don't need it. And then there's this path. Okay, I think that we can just say that's gonna be included. I think we already made a group of that. Perfect, so I'm just gonna say top half circle. You can name it anything you want. That's just for my own preference and my own ability to recall it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select this group. I'm going to go to Object, Flatten Transparency. Usually I like to go with 100. You don't have to mess with these settings, but I've set it up at 200. And I'm just going to preview and see what happens. So I don't think anything too dramatic happened. We're just going to say OK. And it looks pretty similar to what it looked like earlier. And we could do a little Command Z to see. Yeah, there's not too much of a difference. So I'm just going to redo that. So now that took care of our appearance effect here. It's gone. We have this here that also has some kind of effect. And sometimes I kind of just want to see like what that looks like when we take it off. Okay, so it's got an effect. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flatten transparency, preview it before it happens. Looks pretty similar. Yeah, we're going to say okay. That looks fine. So now all of our transparency, all of our effects, they're set. This is good. And what is this ellipse? There's nothing here. I'm gonna delete that. That might just be the actual ellipse to tell us how big the circle. Okay, so we've inspected it. We could probably use it to help us with our cutting path. So let's say we're going to switch it so that this will be the only thing that has a fill, but we're going to assign it the cut contour. So I think that I already have, I usually just save the cut contour in my library just because I use it so often. So that's already good. Now we're going to set this to 0.25. These things are uniform and basic. That's perfect. I'm going to drag it up here to my cut file, my cut layer. And the next thing that I would do is just check out the stroke on this. One thing to look out for is sometimes you might get customers who send you a file that has a stroke aligned to the inside or aligned to the outside. We don't need to mess with that. If we do, then the Roland does not recognize it. You're going to have a hard time. So if you are having a hard time with a file that's not wanting to have its cut contour be recognized, the Roland is just being picky, and you've checked all the other things, I would say come in here and make sure that your stroke is aligned to the center. So, and then you can go there from the stroke panel. So I'm just gonna double check again, just double checking that everything is how we wanted it to be. We don't have any effects here. Gonna close that up. Just gonna treat. This one's fine. And you don't need to go into detail about naming all of these layers. That's just for my own preference and my own knowledge. So I'd say that this looks great. This is perfect. So the reason you have this little extra space here is because that's the bleed. It would probably be more apparent if you had a colored background and the bleed was also colored. But since this is white, the Roland is not going to print the white. It's just going to print all the other colors on top of our white substrate, our white vinyl substrate. So it's going to be a nice clean sticker, and this is all ready to go.
Okay, now that all of the layers in our file have been set up how we want them and how we need them in order for them to be printed and cut, all we need to do now is save it as a PDF and then just make sure that it has the name of the customer, the last name, the name of the sticker, and then what kind of job it is. In our case, it's a sticker. So this is a perfectly good naming convention, especially for people that don't have experience with working with these type of files. They can automatically get an idea of what kind of file this is. This is a file for this customer. This is probably the title of the file, and it's a sticker file. So then you could just pick your destination or where you need it to be saved. I'm just going to save it on downloads because this is just a demo. So I'm going to save. In my case, I would replace it. And then I would save it as an Acrobat 4 or a PDF 1.3, which I already have set up. If we don't end up saving it here, chances of the VersaWorks recognizing it are very low. So this is the kind of compatibility that the Roland wants. So we're going to save PDF, and we're all done. And your next step would just be taking it into 26A, putting it on the computer there, and just dragging the file into VersaWorks. All right.
Boli jest moją serce, uleta.